Hello everybody, welcome back. I am walking out into the donkey pasture and just about got run over by Miss Penny. DeeDee. As always, they are not happy with the fact that I'm in their pasture. It has absolutely nothing to do, I shouldn't say that they're not happy with me being here. They don't mind me being here. It's that they're not happy that I'm not escorted by my security force. DeeDee's busy protecting me from the little dogs. And Penny is my tight-on bodyguard. It's actually awful cute. Oh, look at Bailey up on top of Stone Mountain. That's a new one. All right, so I wanted to come out here first because it's just pretty. And even though a lot of the trees have started to lose their leaves, we still have a good portion of them here. Oh, we've got some donkey rolling going on, a little dust bath. Always entertaining. You proud of yourself, Miss Deeds? Meanwhile, like I said, Penny has not left my side. She will not leave my side. So we'll have to be entertained by DeeDee, who is going to give us a show. So a question was asked recently if I ever have the donkeys and the goats together. And I think I might have talked about this once before, but you know, it all blends together after a while. And the answer is I did. Back in the beginning in Farm 1.0, and if you haven't heard about Farm 1.0, hi Deeds, I know. It is part of the History of the Farm series because we are currently at Farm 2.0, which is why it's set up so much better. We've learned so much. Now I have two close-in bodyguards here. It's hard for me to keep them on video. At any rate, so yes, Farm 1.0. We didn't have multiple pastures. We had enough pasture for our girl goats and our boy goats to be separate. And of course, we keep them separate because we don't want uncontrolled breeding. And they will just breed themselves into oblivion. And then we put the donkeys in, or we should say we put the boy goats in with the donkeys because the donkeys were here first. Isn't that right? You guys were here first. Isn't that right? So everybody was fine. These are miniature donkeys. They're not standard donkeys. The goats are smaller than them for sure, but bucks, you know, they're big, they're strong, they're beasterly. So the expectation was that they would be fine together. The risk, and it was risk that I knew when we got into it, is the donkeys are bigger, are stronger. And if the bucks get too rambunctious with the donkeys and start to act bucky with them, not trying to mount them, the bucks would not be trying to procreate with them, but you know, the bucks are bucks, right? Headbutting, you've seen them play a little bit. So if the bucks were to decide to play with the donkeys and the donkeys decide that they're annoying enough, they could kick them, they could hurt them. And we knew that risk and we thought we were managing that risk pretty well. We didn't have a lot of bucks. In fact, we only had two, and we only had the two donkeys. The donkeys were small, not as small as I've seen some miniatures, but they're still considered minis. And everybody seemed to be just fine. And that worked for us for almost 5 years. And year 5 came along, and our two bucks were being bucks. They were being stupid. They were headbutting. It wasn't even breeding season. They were just being boys. And if for whatever reason, at that point, DeeDee, who was an older donkey when we got her, older in the sense that she wasn't a baby. She was about 6 when we got her. So at that time, she would have been about 10 or 11. You know, she had had some life experience on her. She decided that she had had enough of the boys being boys. She picked up our larger of the two bucks by the back of his neck with her teeth. She picked him up and flung him across the pasture. And he did get all 4 feet off the ground and he took a tumble. Was he fine? Absolutely. Was I going to tolerate that behavior happening again? Not a chance. And so we ended up having to quickly install another pasture to separate the boys from the donkeys. And so when we put Farm 2.0 in, we devised our rotational pastures in a way that the donkeys can have their space, the goats can have their space. They do share pasture, just not at the same time. And I've gone over that before, right? So right now the donkeys, they come out of the barn, they come down this run, they're in kind of the first area of the staging pasture, and then they have all that space down to the woods and over. It's a lot of space. And you've seen them way back there. And the boys' pasture is right here next to them. And they kind of stop at this mid-fence line here. When we rotate the donkeys into the pasture that's currently resting, that's this pasture here. So this pasture is also connected to the donkey stall. Instead of coming out of their stall and making a left and coming down to where I am now, they would go straight into this pasture and they would have all this space. And this is where you've been seeing the goat girls out and about. The girls are currently up in their, it's not really a winter pasture, it's just up in a smaller pasture. So what we will do throughout the year is we will switch the donkeys' pasture from this side that they're in now to the side that's currently resting. When we switch them over, so the girls will get the shorter pasture for a little while the donkeys are in on this side. And the boys will have their pasture opened up and they will have full run of all this big space. Goats are not hard on pastures. They don't eat the grass from the roots. They don't rip it up. They don't make divots in the soft ground like donkey hooves do. So by rotating the donkeys between our two big pastures and changing up whether the girls, have a bigger pasture, smaller pasture, and whether the boys have a bigger pasture, smaller pasture, by doing that kind of continuous rotation, we keep our pastures healthy. We keep them full of nutrition, right? So they have time to rest and regrow. And it's also kind of nice because the donkeys get a chance to have some enrichment. They change from the scents over here to the scents over there. The goats have the same kind of enrichment because they go from a smaller pasture to a larger pasture. Their smaller pastures are oversized for the amount of goats we have anyway. So they go from an unnecessary, kind of an oversized pasture to an unnecessarily large pasture for them. But they take advantage of it, and I don't have a problem with that, right? I mean, 2 boys in this entire space is silly, but at the same time, it's an oversized pasture for donkeys, and then the boys just get a chance to take advantage of it when the donkeys are on the other side. So, no, the donkeys and goats don't mix, but they're next to each other. They can see each other through the fence lines. They can smell each other as they change pastures around. And we do that just for the safety and well-being of all of our animals. And it seems to be working just fine. So there you go, question and answer session. Anyway, I'm going to cut it here as we start to get a little bit long. We're going to look at this pretty tree. These trees we planted, they're still being protected because they're still young. Protecting from both deer and donkey, and definitely protected from goats because the goats will strip that down to nothing. But it's getting there. It's got some height on it now. It's starting to grow. And soon, well, not soon, but many years from now, it'll hopefully be as big and tall as some of these other trees and be able to provide the same shade and protection that they are. I hope you are having a fabulous day wherever you are in this world. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be kind, and I will see you at the next one. Bye for now.